All right, here we go. Sketch the graph of the indicated relation. And so we're given f of x right here, and then we're not told how f of x is defined or given, but we do have this graph to show us. And so we can see some of these lattice points here, and lattice points just are exactly where the your x and y integer lines meet. So they're just the points that are easy to graph is kind of the way to think through that. So we've got these points right here that you can easily go through, see what their x, y values are. Um, so this is f of x. And now we're asked to sketch the graph of the indicated relation. So negative f of x. And so think of this as once you've got your output, we're going to make it negative. So remember, f of x usually is related to y. And so whatever y value you have, we're going to make it negative. So our points that we're at, any point that was at x comma y is going to now become x comma negative y, because that output, that final output, that's what's being made negative. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, 0. That's going to stay right the same because negative 0 is just 0. Where we were at negative 3, 2, now we're at negative 3, negative 2. The y value has been switched again. Negative 2, 2 gets flipped down to negative 2, negative 2, so on, so forth. And so when we have 0, negative 1, that's getting flipped up. Now that's 0, positive 1. And our graphed function, we've got the, here is the graph of negative f of x. So it's just been flipped upside down. Next we have, oh, and sorry, just to be real explicit about what happened here, it got flipped over the x-axis. As we're making the output y, as we're making it negative, it got flipped around the the x-axis. Next we have f of negative x, and so notice where that negative is happening. That's inside the function. That's before we get the output. That's our input itself is made opposite, and then we are then putting it through the function. So for this one, we are going to be reflecting over the y-axis. But actually, let's hold off on that. Let's go through our process. So where we had x comma y, we're making x negative. So this is going to become negative x comma y. And let's take a look at that. So where we had negative 4, 0, now we have positive 4, 0. Where we had negative 3, 2, we now have 3, 2. Again, just making that x value opposite. So 0, negative 1 is unaffected because negative 0 is still just 0, the y value there. And there's our graph. There's our graph. Now notice, or try to take a look at this when we mentioned it at the very beginning of this problem, but it's reflected across the y-axis this time. So reflected across the y-axis this time. So this one was reflected over the x-axis. This time it's reflected over the y-axis. All right. Gonna pause here and I'll come back and finish up these next two. Want to introduce you to or give you a visual on it before we get going. So check into the next video for these next problems.